Ja, Jerry, jij bent door Jesselgus, minister van Justitie en Veiligheid, ben jij weggezet als onwelriekende reuzel en complotdenker. Wat vind je daarvan?
Dommig. Wat we hebben gezien is dat de afgelopen jaren heel veel dingen die werden gezien als nepnieuws en complottheorie en zo, gewoon waar bleken te zijn. Die bleken uit te komen.
Jij en Forum zijn door minister van Justitie en Veiligheid, Jesselgus, weggezet als onwelriekende reus en complotdenker. Wat vind je ervan?
Onwelriekende reuzel.
Oh ja, sorry, Wieke, je bent geen reus.
Nee, ik ben geen reus, ik ben een kabouter.
Wat is nepnieuws? Wie bepaalt wat nepnieuws is? Dat is de grote vraag. Dus we dachten de hele tijd dat het nepnieuws was om te zeggen: het coronavirus komt uit een laboratorium in Wuhan. Maar het blijkt echt te zijn. Daar komt het van. Dus het is elke keer de vraag: wie bepaalt wat wel of niet nepnieuws is?
Was ik het ermee eens?
Was je het ermee eens?
Dat Forum en Van Haga onwelriekende reuzels zijn.
En complotdenkers.
En complotdenkers. Nou zeker, Forum kan er wel wat van. Dus dacht ik, ja, daar zit best wat in, wat Jesselgus daar allemaal zegt. Ze is alleen wat vergeten. Want als het gaat om de ondermijning van de rechtsstaat en het vertrouwen in de politiek, dan is ze de VVD vergeten. Want die kan er natuurlijk ook wat van, hè? Toeslagenschandaal, al die gebroken beloftes van Rutte. Die heb ik niet gehoord in die speech van Jesselgus. Dus daar ga ik er nog even op wijzen. Ik denk dat...
Hello to you all. This is RHTVLive streaming from Maastricht. Yep. We were just watching some reactions from politicians in the Netherlands, and the Minister of Justice had put out a letter saying that this person here, Van Haga, and Thierry Baudet, they are conspiracy-minded people and far-right and all that. Ja, mensen, zo gaat het. Polarisatie in de politiek. Ze maken elkaar allemaal kapot. We zagen het aan Wilders. Weet u nog? Wilders die ging een vraag stellen. Die zei, willen we meer of minder? Nou, daarvoor moest hij naar de rechter toe gaan en zoiets allemaal. Om Wilders te demoniseren. Nou kent Nederland natuurlijk heel veel fracties binnen de politieke systeem. En de regerende fracties doen er alles aan om dus andere fracties voor schut te zetten, dan wel te demoniseren. We kijken verder.
De VVD eerst eens even de hand in eigen boezem moet gaan steken. Want als je 12 jaar geleden blij was geweest met Mark Rutte, en dat was ik toen, en je had gedacht dat hij het land in zo'n puinhoop zou achterlaten na 12 jaar, dan was dat een complot geweest. Maar dat complot is wel uitgekomen.
Caroline, Van Haga is complotdenker genoemd, Forum ook. En jij bent gifmenger in het politieke debat genoemd. Wat vind je ervan?
Nou ja, kijk, de personen over wie zij het heeft, Thierry Baudet en Van Haga in dit geval, die zijn daar niet aanwezig. We hebben hier in deze zaal met de blauwe stoeltjes, hebben we het constant over van ja, je mag het niet over personen hebben die er niet zijn, want die kunnen zich niet verdedigen. En dan gaat nota bene een kabinetslid, die gaat het over personen hebben, over gekozen volksvertegenwoordigers. En je kunt het met ze eens zijn of niet eens zijn. Zegt ze nota bene dit soort dingen terwijl ze niet aanwezig zijn.
Ik vind het een minister onwaardig en het is ook gevaarlijk. Want ja, dit is precies het hondenfluitje dat zij dus gebruikt, wat ze mij verwijt. Waardoor haar hele militaristische achterban, voor zover die er is, wordt gemobiliseerd. En dan lopen wij gevaar. En ik vind dat je dat elkaar gewoon niet moet aandoen. We hebben nu een minister van Justitie die niet daarvoor opgeleid is. Die geen relevante achtergrond heeft en ja, wel een hele grote portefeuille heeft. En in ieder geval mij niet beschermt op het moment dat een gewelddadige linkse activist of wie dan ook met geweld mijn huis binnendringt. En dat is gebeurd en daar hoor je niks over. Dus
Ben je daar ook oprecht bang voor?
nou, bang voor, het is gebeurd.
Ja, maar nu door dit soort teksten?
Ja, natuurlijk. Pim Fortuyn is vermoord, Els Borst is vermoord. Heel veel politici worden hier nu beveiligd. Het is een chaos. En Dylan Zilgus is minister van Justitie en Veiligheid. En wat doet zij? Zij polariseert de boel en zij maakt het erger door dit soort weerzinwekkende uitspraken. En ik vind het heel slecht, ja.
Maar, kijk wat Thierry hierop gaat zeggen. Het is natuurlijk heel erg dat er zo gepolariseerd wordt en dat mensen aangevallen worden. Dat had je niet gedacht als Nederlander zijnde. Als je keek met een perspectief vanuit de jaren 80, toen we geen mobiels hadden en de Big Brother staat er niet was, en zoiets allemaal. Er was ooit een tijd, mensen, ooit, dat mensen zonder autogordel door Nederland gingen reizen. Serieus. En nou wordt er gekeken van, heeft hij dit wel bij zich, heeft hij dat wel bij zich? En is hij aan de snelheid onthouden en zoiets allemaal. Waarom denk je dat we dus eerst 130 konden gaan rijden en nu in één keer 100? Wie bepaalt dat voor ons? Is de overheid? Gaat toch weg. Het zijn allemaal klungels bij de overheid. Slechte acteurs. Ja. Hier hebben we ook een middelmatig acteur. Die doet het wel enigszins goed. Maar het is en blijft een acteur.
Maar heb je ook niet zoiets van dat het een beetje fair game is? Want jij hebt ook wel eens mensen weggezet als kneuzen, nitwits, debielen.
Dat zijn het dan.
Het is wel fair. Ja, maar waarom zijn die mensen dan wel debielen en jij niet? Waarom mag jij dat wel zeggen en zij niet?
Zij mag best zeggen dat ze mij debiel vindt. Maar wat zij zegt is, ze gaat sociale mediabedrijven dwingen om onze content te weigeren. Dus ze grijpt in de vrijheid van meningsuiting, in het vrije debat.
Dus je vindt eigenlijk, ze mag je de totale debiel vinden, maar niet aan de vrijheid van meningsuiting zitten.
Exactly.
Nee, maar we hebben het hier, en dat vind ik dus zo, echt zo fucking irritant. Sorry dat ik het zo zeg. Maar we hebben het hier steeds over de toon van een debat. En
This here is Caroline van der Plas. Yeah, she comes from the political party, the CDA, the Christian Democratic Appeal. And her voice was not heard within the party, so she began her own party, the Boerenburgerbeweging, BBB, right, triple B. So, and now she's prominent within the Dutch politics. A lot of farmers are on her side, right?
En je hoeft hier maar iets te zeggen van, oh nee, dat kan je niet zeggen. En oh, helemaal reuring, hele paniek weer in de hele zaal. En dan gaat zij dit als kabinetslid. Het kabinet spreekt met één mond, dus kennelijk
Dus
vindt
iedereen vindt het complotdenkers.
Ja, en onwelriekende reuzel. Nee, maar sorry, dat kan toch niet?
Hallo, nog geen subscriber? Wel even doen, hè? En volg ons ook vooral op Instagram en TikTok. Gewoon door onder deze video te klikken.
Nou, mooi dat we dat weten. Po-nieuws. Ja. Maar Blackbox, die heeft het er ook over gehad. En die heeft het wat ingewijder over. Die laat de Tweede Kamer zien. Ja. Dus, we hebben ook deze hier. Hier hebben we Blackbox met Thierry Baudet en Van Haga.
Kijk even naar de heer Baudet.
Dank u wel, mevrouw de voorzitter. Ik wil toch een punt van orde maken. Ik weet dat u gaat over het uitkiezen van de mondelinge vragen. En elke week dienen allerlei Kamerleden mondelinge vragen in. Maar ik vind het nu toch wel heel opmerkelijk dat de vragen die ik heb aangevraagd niet zijn uitgekozen om te worden gesteld. Gisteravond heeft de minister in haar hoedanigheid van minister, en het kabinet spreekt met één mond, dus zij sprak namens het kabinet,
Ja.
Kamerleden, 2 Kamerleden, mijzelf en Wiebren van Haga, voor toch wel vrij heftige dingen uitgemaakt. Ze hebben ons allerlei dingen in de schoenen geschoven. Dat is volstrekt ongepast en ook staatsrechtelijk kan dat helemaal niet. De Kamer controleert de regering en de regering past het totaal niet om op die manier te spreken. Dit weekend is ook mijn voordeur weer beklad door de volgelingen van mensen die op deze manier hier maar weer allemaal ideeën aan opdoen. Het heeft ook dus directe gevolgen voor de veiligheid van ons als Kamer en Kamerleden. En ik vind gewoon dat u als voorzitter van ons moet optreden ook ter verdediging van ons als Kamerleden. En als dit soort dingen worden gezegd, wat gisteren gezegd is, en dit is overal voorpagina nieuws, ze heeft zelf gezegd dat ze onze uitingen via social media wil gaan inknotten, dus censuur wil gaan doen. U moet dan optreden om de Kamer te verdedigen en dit soort vragen bij uitstek uitkiezen. Want hier is niet alleen onze politieke positie in het geding, maar ook gewoon de Kamer en het functioneren van ons als oppositieleden in de Kamer als geheel.
Dank u wel. Inderdaad, zoals u zegt, het is aan mij om de mondelinge vragen te selecteren. Ga ik ook niet over in discussie. Wat ik wel wil aangeven, er is een brief aan mij gestuurd door de heer Van Haga. Daar eigenlijk met eenzelfde soort reactie. En daar ga ik gewoon op reageren. Ook bespreken in het presidium en dan kom ik daar op die manier op terug. De heer Van Haga.
Ja, dank u wel. Ja, het kabinet spreekt met één mond. En dan worden de heer Baudet en ik worden beticht van extreemrechtse sympathieën. Wij worden onwelriekende reuzel genoemd. Iets wat waarschijnlijk al maandenlang is bedacht in de VVD-afdeling voorlichting. Ik vind het ongepast. Net als de heer... Nee, maar het is echt serieus. In het stikstofdebat drong een man met geweld mijn huis binnen. Het was een vrij emotioneel moment. Er is niets aan gebeurd. De minister van Justitie heeft niets gedaan. Nog geen telefoontje, helemaal niets. En dan wel deze polariserende toon uiten. Ik vind het echt stuitend en daarom heb ik ook de brief aan de voorzitter geschreven. Ik hoop dat er een passende reactie op komt. Maar ik vind ook dat het kabinet, dat u het kabinet mag verzoeken om mevrouw Jezielkes hier af te vaardigen om haar excuses aan te bieden. Want dit is werkelijk ver de grens over.
Dank u wel. Ik heb net gezegd tegen de heer Baudet, en dat zeg ik ook tegen u, heeft mij een brief gestuurd vandaag. Daar ga ik ook op reageren. En dan kunt u mijn reactie ook zien. En de bedreiging in uw huis, heb ik toen ook tijdens het debat gezegd, is natuurlijk echt afschuwelijk. Dus laat ik dat ook nog een keer zeggen.
Oh, het is afschuwelijk. Afschuwelijk. Ja. Wie instigeert het allemaal? Ja? Waar komt het allemaal vandaan? So the Minister of Justice gave a letter to the media saying that these two politicians are far right and they have extreme ideas and this is what's happening in the Netherlands. Polarization of politicians, right? So this is how a corrupt country runs itself. So there you have that. And it's all in The Hague. Het speelt zich allemaal in Den Haag af. De grote moeras van Nederland. Ja, big swamp of the Netherlands. Swampy creatures are walking around in The Hague and they are not functioning well. So you might say, right, that our Prime Minister would say something to the Minister of Justice, hey, don't do that, not good for politics, not good, right? Wait, I gotta fix something here. So you might say that That's not good for the Netherlands. But where is our prime minister? Waar is Mark Rutte als deze gebeuren gebeurt? We gaan even kijken hiernaar. Want Mark Rutte is in Suriname. Ja, he's not in the Netherlands. Nope, he's in Suriname. On the other side of the planet, right? So we're going to look it up. Suriname, which is in South America, right? So this is Suriname, and we're going to zoom it out. Our prime minister is there instead of running the country. So we're going to take a look at this here.
De Nederlandse minister-president Mark Rutte is vanmiddag aangekomen in Suriname. Op de Johan Adolf Penge luchthaven is hij ontvangen door minister Albert Ramdien van Binnenlandse Zaken, International Business en Internationale Samenwerking. Rutte is vergezeld van zijn minister van Buitenlandse Handel en Ontwikkelingssamenwerking, Liesje Schrijnemacher. Tijdens dit tweedaags bezoek zullen er bilaterale gesprekken worden gevoerd tussen de twee regeringsleiders. Er is ook een ontmoeting met het Surinaams bedrijfsleven gepland en wordt er morgen een bijzondere openbare vergadering gehouden in de Nationale Assemblée. We komen morgen terug op het bezoek van de Nederlandse premier.
Nou, dan weet je waar Mark Rutte zich schuilhoudt. Ja, dus ATV Networks Suriname, dat houden we ook bij. En erg belangrijk om dit bij te houden. Hier heb je dus de ministers die aanschuiven voor diplomatieke gesprekken. En zoiets met Suriname. Ja. En waarom gebeurt dit? Nou, wij hebben gas nodig en energie. En zoiets. En ja, Suriname heeft heel veel olie. Ja. Kunnen wij mooi als voormalig koloniaal land gebruik van maken. Ja, dus dat gebeurt. En ja. Zo komen we dus aan externe voorzieningen in Nederland. Goed, we gaan even overschakelen naar Armenië. Ja, want daar is ook weer iets gaande. Er was al een conflict tussen Armenië en Azerbeidzjan in 2020. Dat hebben we ook behandeld bij RHTVLive. Het ging om een grensconflict. En nu heb je dus de conflict dat weer oplaait. Ja, we gaan even hier naar kijken. Armenia and Azerbaijan trade blame over deadly border clashes. Yep, in 2020, they were fighting over the border. We coverage that Armenia and Azerbaijan during 2020. Hey, kat, hou op. Niet doen. Nee, je hebt toch eten gehad. It's a cat who's hungry. So there's a border conflict still going on, right? And this is a pressure point for Russia. And why Russia? Russia was an intermediary between Armenia and Azerbaijan. They were like, you guys need to stop fighting, you know. So, but Russia is now concentrated in Ukraine. Yeah. So they cannot be everywhere. Hey, hou op, kat. Niet doen. They cannot be everywhere. And we're going to take a look at what's happening. Armenia and Azerbaijan have traded blame for clashes that erupted along the country's border in what is the deadliest fighting between the rival neighbors since their 2020 war over the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region. We're going to take a look at that. Nagorno-Karabakh. There you go. It's, I believe it's here somewhere in the south. And, this is what's happening. This is what's going on, right? So we're going to, according to Armenia's defense ministry, the hostilities erupted in the early hours of Tuesday morning when Azerbaijani forces unleashed cross-border attacks using artillery, mortars, drones, and large caliber rifles that killed at least 49 Armenian troops. Thus, the ministry said that the attacks had targeted both military and civilian infrastructure in and around several towns and villages, including Vardernis. Let's see where that is. Vardernis. Sotok, Artanish, Ishkanashar, Goris, Yermuk, and Kapan, forcing it to respond. So we're going to take a look at where that is. Vardernis. Here we have Vardernis, right? And it's quite close to the border. So this is what's going on, people. Let's see where Ishkanar, or whatever it's called, Ishkanasar. Yeah, I'm raping it. I know. Ishkanasar. Let's see where that is. It's more south, also near the border. So there you have it, people. We're covering world news, geopolitics, and stuff like that. So, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan linked the incidents with the simmering decades-old dispute of the status of Nagorno-Karabakh, which we already showed. Nagorno. There we go. That's the region, Nagorno-Karabakh. And let's see, where were we? Saying that the Azeri government did not want to negotiate over the enclave, which lies inside Azerbaijan, but is mainly populated by ethnic Armenians, right? So this is what's happening as we speak. But Azerbaijan denied instigating the fighting, claiming the troops had responded to large-scale provocations by the Armenian military. Yeah, not our fault, your fault. This is what's happening. And it's serious shit we're talking about. Serious stuff, you know. So we're going to take a look at Al Jazeera. They are mostly everywhere in the world talking about worldly issues. So let's see if we have some images. Oh, we have to go back.
has broken out overnight between Armenia and Azerbaijan along their border. Leaders are working to stabilize the situation, and there are reports of a shaky ceasefire. The battle took place near the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region. Armenia says the Azeri army began shelling towards military positions around 3 cities. But Azerbaijan says it was responding to a buildup of Armenian landmines and weapons. It's the latest flare-up in the fighting after a ceasefire ended a 6-week war in 2020. Joining us now on Al Jazeera is Richard Giragosian, who's the director of the think tank Regional Studies Center. He's live from the Armenian capital, Yerevan. Thank you very much for being with us, Richard. So we have each side right now accusing the other of starting these latest hostilities. Why? Why now? What sparked this recent flare-up?
Well, I think there are 2 important drivers. The first is, of course, Russian weakness. And after the failed adventure of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Russia is much less perceived as a broker or mediator and very much encouraging Azerbaijan to move forward with force of arms. What we saw last night, however, was a serious escalation, but it's also an expansion geographically, where the attacks were targeting Armenia proper. This has nothing to do with the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict itself.
Interesting. Well, tell us a bit more about the area where this recent fighting is taking place. It's not over Nagorno-Karabakh. Where is it happening and why those specific areas?
Well, these are parts of southern Armenia that are now subject to artillery and mortar attacks by Azerbaijan. The reason is, in many ways, Azerbaijan has dangerously had an incomplete victory in the 2020 war. It did not fully win control of Nagorno-Karabakh. The recent escalation, therefore, for political purposes within Azerbaijan, offers important dividends for the Azerbaijani leadership. But for Armenia, this is especially daunting because the attacks are recklessly indiscriminate. The civilian casualties are equal to the military loss of life.
Well, we have no information right now on those civilian casualties, no confirmed reports at least. There were Russian peacekeepers along the border there, but I understand they've been replaced. Who's replaced them? Who's keeping the peace right now, if anyone?
Nobody. This is why the tensions broke out again. You know, there was no peacekeeping force over there. Right? This is why this is a destabilization of Russia. Right? It's not far from Russia. So there you go. Ja mensen, dit is in een ijskast gezet. We gaan eventjes niet strijden. Nee. We gaan Rusland verzwakken. Nu Rusland zijn focus heeft op Oekraïne. Ja. Dus dit gebeurt allemaal mensen. Dit gebeurt allemaal. En ja, wat Wit-Rusland gaat doen, dat is ook maar de vraag. Hè? We weten dat het een bondgenoot is van Moskou. En ook die willen geen oorlog aan de grens. Dus ja, wat gaat daar gebeuren? What is going on in Belarus? We don't know much about what's going on over there. We do know there's a dictator who is a friend of Moscow. So, yeah. And they don't want a war on their border. So, we have to see if the war in Ukraine spills out. We did see some attacks in Moldova, in the Russian enclave they have over there. And Transnistria, it's called. And there were attacks over there. So it has spilled out to Moldova. But the situation over there is stable now, even though attacks are still prominent. and the EU is trying to expand their borders to Albania and to North Macedonia, right? This is what's happening. And that is also very, very dangerous. It sets for NATO, it sets a goal to put missiles there in defense of Russia, who also puts missiles near the border of Ukraine, right? So, dangerous, dangerous stuff. Finland has joined NATO. It's official. So the NATO is expanded eastwards, which was not part of the deal that they made, right? So this is what's happening, people. This is what's happening. The Netherlands is polarized very, very badly, and it's reflected on the population. You know, the revolution we were fighting has turned inward, and now we're fighting each other instead of focusing ourselves upon the people in The Hague, right? So let this be a warning to other countries. Do not let the revolution eat itself, right? Look at the Netherlands. Even though there are demonstrations like in Amsterdam, there was a recent big demonstration there, but still there is a large portion of the population that says these people are crazy, idiots, conspiracy theorists, and stuff like that, because they are stuck in what they see as reality, even though it fluctuates. So there's also something going on between Greece and Turkey. What's going on? Well, Turkey had a deal with Libya, making a gas pipeline to Turkey. Now you may say, okay, that's okay. But Greece is not okay with that because the pipeline goes through Greek waters, right? So Greece and Turkey are also aiming themselves, you know. So we're going to take a look at Al Jazeera because that is the only channel that looks upon the world. I believe they also had something about Greece and Turkey. There were, I believe, clashes broke out. Let's see. Armenia, Azerbaijan trade, blame over deadly border clashes. We cover that. Egypt's Sisi lands in Qatar. So Egypt goes to Qatar. Now you might ask yourself, where's Qatar on the map? That's right next to Saudi Arabia, right? It's too small. So there we have Qatar, which has an absolute monarch, and the World Cup will be in Qatar. So Egypt's Sisi, the dictator who overthrew the elected government, even though it was the Muslim Brotherhood, right? Morsi, Sisi goes to Qatar for meetings. So let's take a look at that.
Qatar and Egypt tend to describe their ties as historic. but those ties had been strained since the military coup that ended the rule of Egypt's first democratically elected President Mohamed Morsi in 2013 and brought the then Defense Minister Abdel Fattah Sisi to power. Egypt accused Qatar of supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, which Cairo considers a terrorist organization. In June 2017, relations reached an all-time low. Egypt joined Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain in imposing an air, sea and land blockade on Qatar. They accused the Gulf state of having links to terrorism and demanded it cut ties with Iran. The four Arab countries severed relations with Qatar, and there were reports later of a possible Saudi plan to invade the country.
We want to see Qatar implement the promises it made a few years back with regard to its support for extremist groups.
All of these measures are directed at the Qatari people and to citizens of the GCC and all who are living in Qatar.
Qatar cancelled multi-billion-dollar investments in Egypt, and the regional politics of the two countries saw them on opposing sides in Libya, Yemen, Syria, the Horn of Africa and elsewhere. All efforts at mediation, especially by the late Emir of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah al-Ahmed Sabah, seemed to be fruitless. It took 4 years for things to turn around. The blockade on Qatar was lifted in January 2021. Shortly after that, Cairo and Doha resumed diplomatic relations. The meeting between Qatar's Emir and the Egyptian president will be the third since the lifting of the blockade. The two leaders met during the Arab Summit in Baghdad in August 2021. And in June, Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim visited Cairo to seek ways to reach full normalization of ties. Last month, Egypt and Qatar worked together with the UN and were able to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza after days of Israeli bombardment against targets related to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group. And thanks to their ties with rival groups in Libya, this improvement in relations between Qatar and Egypt is also likely to help the prospects of national reconciliation in the war-ravaged country. Mohammed Val, Al Jazeera.
So thank you, Al Jazeera, for covering what's happening around the globe, right? So we can have our take on it. So the relations between Egypt and Qatar are better, right, than they were before. We also covered the Qatari blockade and stuff like that. Diplomats were thrown out of Qatar, right, because of the blockade. And, you know, Qatar is now holding the World Cup. So who knows what's going to happen there. People aren't allowed to drink alcohol and stuff like that. And, you know, there is a free speech zone, especially for the World Cup. So we're going to see if that is held or not, right? Who knows, maybe they'll have some people from Europe as hostage. Who knows, who knows. We'll see. So that's happening in the relations between Egypt and Qatar, right? William Ruto is inaugurated as Kenya's 5th president. We also covered that, right? The Kenyan elections. There were some scuffles going on in Kenya, but it has been resolved. So he is now president instead of president-elect. So that's going on there, you know. Thousands of children in Democratic Republic of the Congo miss class due to, let's see, violence. Hey, Yeah, I didn't think of that, right? Even though we also covered that. So there we have the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And let's see what Al Jazeera has to say about that.
Schools have just opened in the Democratic Republic of Congo, but thousands of children in North Kivu province will not make it to class this term. The M23 armed group is advancing on the provincial capital, Goma. Hundreds of people in areas such as Ruchuru are fleeing the fighting between the rebels and Congolese soldiers. Some families have taken shelter in schools.
We are in a difficult position. We want the displaced removed from schools so children can resume classes. The government needs to find other places for the IDPs.
Many children are working as casual laborers to supplement their families' income. Government officials say they are facing an education crisis.
At the moment, we have thousands of children who have nowhere to go. That's about 75% of young children who have been affected by the ongoing conflict. We need to find a solution quickly.
The resurgence of the M23 rebels comes after a decade-long lull. In 2012, the group briefly took control of Goma and other areas of eastern DRC. Many people were killed or forced from their homes. The government accuses Rwanda of sponsoring the rebels, allegations Kigali has denied. Congolese troops have been deployed to multiple frontline positions to deal with the threat. But this is
what's going on in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, right? And we told you about that. We told you. So we're keeping an eye on that, right? And let's see what else is going on in the world. So Ukrainian troops are taking their land back, even though Russia is expanding their military and stuff like that into Ukraine. NATO is helping them. So that's also very important on the big chessboard, the global chessboard, right? Let's call it that, the global chessboard. So very, very interesting times that we live in. There was also a drill with China and Russia in the Sea of Okosh, whatever, over here, you know. So I'm not making this up. We're going to take a look at China Uncensored. Because they were talking about that here. Joint live military drills between Russia and China.
China and Russia are performing live-fire military drills right next to Japan as the party sets its sights on Taiwan. China Uncensored, I'm Chris Chappell. So, here's a fun thing. Russia and China have started war games.
Russia is this month hosting the Vostok 22 military exercises in the east of the country. 15 countries are taking part, and China is Russia's guest of honor.
Yes, Russia and China are conducting live-fire military war games. But when they say in the east of Russia, they mean really far east, like next to Japan. Japan was obviously not thrilled. So not thrilled that it lodged a formal complaint. Yes, formal complaint, because if there's one thing that Russia and China fear more than military retaliation, it's a Karen. China must have loved this. You see, Japan and Russia are also in territorial dispute over islands in these waters. These islands, which Japan calls the Northern Territories, have been under Russian control since they were seized by the Soviet Union at the end of World War II. In fact, according to the Washington Post, the dispute has prevented the two countries from signing a peace treaty formally ending their World War II hostilities. Which means World War II is still going on. So, does that mean the U.S. is on Russia's side of the fight against Japan? And does this mean that since he's Italian, Mario is a fascist?
So there you have it, people. There you have it. Right? We're just showing the tensions within the world, right? So we were talking about Armenia and Azerbaijan, who were clashing over the border, Nagorno-Karabakh, or whatever it's called, and now we're talking about this here, the joint military drills between Russia and China, right? Japan is not happy with that. And Japan is on the Western Hemisphere side, which include Australia and the Philippines and the United States of America, right? So, who knows where this will go to? They are having their exercises over Taiwan. Now, over here we have Taiwan, right? Small island. There's Taiwan. And Taipei is the capital city. So, who knows where this will lead to? We do know that Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos are still communist countries. And who knows, maybe they will also intervene in the upcoming war, let's hope not, with Taiwan, right? So, this is what's happening. And there is a lot happening, people. But we're trying to explain what's going on. We're doing our best. So let's take a look at Arirang News. Arirang News. There you go. Because Arirang News is from South Korea, so they're in the Korean Peninsula, right? Here we have South Korea. And let's see what Arirang News has to say. All right, here we go. Kim Jong-un says never to give up the nuclear weapons they have. You put it into law that North Korea may have nuclear weapons. And can you blame Kim Jong-un? Can you blame him? Seeing that the Korean Peninsula was always taken over by hostile foreign countries, right? First it was China, then it was Japan, right? And then they had a clash over the Korean Peninsula. And then you had the U.S. in the 50s over communism and stuff like that. And so, can you blame him? But a leader in power must always be benevolent to the population And Kim Jong-un is not benevolent to his population. He says he is a god, right? And all the North Koreans see it that way. So we're going to take a look at this here.
North Korea's leader vows to never give up nukes during a speech at the regime's rubber stamp parliament. Its members also passed a law that authorized Pyongyang's military to execute nuclear strikes if attacked. Shin starts us off.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un warned the global society that it would never abandon nuclear weapons. The remark came during Thursday's speech at the regime's rubber stamp parliament, the Supreme People's Assembly. According to Korean Central News Agency on Friday, Kim accused the U.S. of trying to weaken the North's defenses to collapse the government. He ordered the regime to bolster nuclear weapon development to counter hostilities from the U.S. He added that it could not be used as a negotiation strategy for denuclearization with the U.S. During the assembly, the nuclear weapons policy became legally confirmed. The members passed a law that authorized the North's military to execute nuclear strikes if the leadership comes under attack. The regime...
Do you guys remember when Donald Trump went to North Korea? Donald Trump. Yeah, you know, that orange guy, you know. You guys remember that, right? So he was in North Korea, even though before he went to North Korea, he called Kim Jong-un Rocket Man, right? And then he went to North Korea because there was a peace negotiation between North and South Korea, right? Now, Trump went there as an intermediary, a third person, right? So that went south when the Trump cabinet actually, instigated a blunder and stuff like that. What's his name? Bolton, you know, the guy with the mustache. He made a very big blunder, and North Korea did not forgive him for that. You see, North Korea said, okay, you want us to denuclearize, you know, no nuclear weapons, okay, then I don't want military drills, joint military drills with South Korea on the North Korean border. That was one of the negotiations on the table from North Korea, right? And they just said, screw you, Kim Jong-un, we're going to do joint military drills. And then the negotiations went south, you know. So Kim Jong-un got more in a panic mode and stuff like that. It's very, very sad to see. So this is what's happening in the Korean Peninsula. And there's so much happening, people. It's very hard to put into words. But we are trying. We're trying to explain what's going on. So if we take a look at Brazil, there will be elections coming October, right? It's right around the corner. So, and there are fierce, fierce words going on. Mud is being thrown to each political party. So that's going on, right? We also have Imran Khan, the deposed president of Pakistan, coming out saying that the new government has tortured one of his group affiliates, right? And very, very sad to see what's going on in Pakistan. So that's going on over there. Israeli blockade put squeeze on Palestinian sports. Yeah. So we need to blockade the Palestinians. We don't need to do that. We need to set them free. That's what we need to do. Set them free, right? Set them free. So there's a lot going on. In Chile, there's a march on the 49th anniversary of the Pinochet coup, right? There was a coup going on in Chile. So there's a lot happening, people. A lot happening. Queen Elizabeth died. It's now King Charles III, right? Let's see what else we got here. Chaos in Iraq. We also cover that, right? Muqtada al-Sadr quit. He said, no more politics for me. And now his backing is, lost track. So also very interesting to see what's going on in Iraq, right? So here we have Qatar FIFA World Cup final venue inaugurated. So we were talking about Qatar, and there's so much to elections in Sweden. Now Sweden is a left-leaning country, right? And there's a new political party, and it's a right-wing party, they say, and the left is losing seats in the House. So who knows, maybe that will change the politics within Sweden. We're going to take a look at this here.
Sweden's first female Prime Minister is trying to get her first election victory. Magdalena Andersson's Social Democrat-led coalition is neck and neck in the polls, with an opposition bloc led by the Moderate Party. But it's the rise of the right-wing Sweden Democrats that she's been warning voters against.
I am very concerned that the Sweden Democrats will be the second largest party and therefore have a very great influence on another government and another Prime Minister in Sweden.
Essentially, the vote is a choice between Andersson's left-leaning coalition and the opposition led by Ulf Kristersson of the Moderate Party. But even if they win, the moderates could be a minority in their own government. The difference between this election and the last one is that the opposition Moderate Party is now willing to work with the right-wing Sweden Democrats. The other difference is that the Sweden Democrats are ahead of the moderates in the polls. Sweden Democrat leader Jimmie Åkesson is hoping to be Ulf Kristersson's kingmaker. His party has shot to popularity as a backlash against mass immigration.
The Sweden Democrats are not at all against immigration itself, but it has increased to such proportions that it has become absurd.
Hakim Martin was born and bred in Sweden, but still feels targeted.
Always consider myself a part of the Swedish society, but as somebody that look different, we always feel different. Some things they are saying might sound reasonable, but it's sugarcoated, and it's really sugarcoated, and underneath there's racism.
A major factor in this election is crime. Sweden has the highest rate of gangland gun murders in Europe, with most of the perpetrators and victims being of immigrant background. Even the ruling Social Democrats have made that link with policies to combat segregation. But policy might not be what decides this election.
The core issues are all to the advantage of the opposition, but the Swedish people seem to like Magdalena Andersson. Social Democrats want it to be a presidential election, a choice between her and Ulf Kristersson. The moderates absolutely do not want that.
Many other issues will come into play, not least the scrapping of nuclear power just before an energy crisis. Whoever wins will need to halt Sweden's apparent turn for the worse if they're to last more than 4 years. All
So there we have that, right? And the votes are coming this tomorrow, Wednesday. So we have to take a look at that. So we put a lot of things on the radar to look at, right? Because it's our planet. It's not the planet of the ruling power, right? This is our planet. We have to be careful with our planet. You know, we only have one planet to live on. So if we take a look at the United States, things are going south there. You know, the MAGA Americans are deemed very, very dangerous. We're going to take a look at Joe Biden. Yeah, he also bragged about Ukraine, you know, saying we need to fire a prosecutor. But MAGA rant, there you go. So we're going to take a look at this here. The most divisive president the United States has ever had, right? You had Abraham Lincoln. Let's not forget Abraham Lincoln, who actually, you know, said there was a new republic after the big Civil War in America. Let's not forget that. Gettysburg, stuff like that, you know. So this is the most divisive, not this guy, but this guy here is the most divisive president you guys have ever had, right?
America has been a beacon to the world, but as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology, but there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. They don't understand what every patriotic American knows. You can't love your country only when you win.
You see, the problem is with America is that both parties, Republican and Democrat, always say there's an enemy, right? The Republicans say it's outside of the U.S. It's over there, you know, Afghanistan or Iraq or some other Middle Eastern country, right? They're totally defenseless, so, you know, nothing going on there. We can attack these countries or North Africa. You know, nothing going on there. Nope, we're not going to attack the EU, right? They're our partner. We're not going to do that. So the Republicans say it's outside of the U.S., and the Democrats say it's inside of the U.S., right? Domestic terrorists. Now, there are domestic terrorists. If we look at Timothy McVeigh, even though McVeigh was also set up by the FBI, we know about this because we also had recordings of Ahmad Salem, right? The Egyptian cleric guy who fixed the bomb and planted that in the World Trade Center. So we know all about this, right? You don't believe me, right? Well, we're going to take a look at Emad Salem.
Maker for the Blind Sheikh's terror cell. In this surveillance video, Salem and members of the cell are mixing materials for bombs.
Abu Halima will be killed and hidden and gone forever, and you will never know about him that he ever went to Egypt. Will be off the record. And then you have the greatest suspect is gone and lost forever. And you will keep looking for him for the rest of your life. See how much that will cost you. But because you get aware that he's there and you requested him, Egypt stopped it immediately.
Now, even the last 3 weeks is going to be a nice payment. I'm just telling you for the future and what the expenses, they just don't want to buy in on $500 of expenses. That's all. We're just going to have to give me the, some of the expenses, and they'll pay what operationally they are allowed to pay.
Let me think about it.
Don't think it. There's nothing to think about.
Of course I have to think about it. I mean, I have...
And then later on, there's bonuses and things of that nature. The only thing I'm telling you different than before is that it's not a salary.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm telling you. That is different than what we were doing anyway.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, let him to go recruit Ahmed Abdu, or let him to go talk to Ahmed Abdel Sattar. Ahmed Sattar is a good subject. He can really give you a big help.
Yeah.
Let him really to give you a big help.
Look, he doesn't understand everything.
Well, he have to understand. He is the boss. We all running our heads around this boss. So he can understand this point.
But, basically nothing has changed. I'm just telling you, for my own sake, there's nothing, there's this isn't a salary, but you got paid regularly for good information. I mean, the expenses were a little bit out of the ordinary, and it was really questioned. Don't tell Nancy I told you this.
Well, I have to tell her, of course.
Well, then if you have to, you have to.
Yeah, because, I mean, the lady was being honest, and I was being honest, and everything was submitted with a receipt.
Yeah.
And now it's questionable.
It's not questionable. It's like a little out of ordinary.
Okay. I don't think it was. If that's what you think, guys, fine. But I don't think that, because we was start already building the bomb, which is went off in the World Trade Center. It was built by supervision from the Bureau.
It was built by supervision from the Bureau. Right? So they set up a proxy. People from other countries, and they say, we have something very important for you guys to do. You're a secret agent now. And then they make a bomb and plant it in the World Trade Center and let it go off. This is very, very serious stuff. This was a test for 9/11. Because what happened after the World Trade Center bombing, you had Oklahoma City, right? 1995, Timothy McVeigh, the same setup. The same setup. So, this is what's happening, people. This is what's happening. This is why we must be vigilant of what's going on in the world, right? So, we know the dirty tricks. We know the tricks you guys are playing, deep state. We know that the conflict is to weaken Russia. We know, we are smart enough to know what's going on, right? And I know that the CIA and all these alphabet institutions are also listening in on us. I know. But I don't care. I do not care. I'm just warning the world of what's going on. And many people don't take the interest to watch this because it's beyond their capacity. But the people that do watch this, they say, keep going on, keep going on. Now, they can do it themselves as I inspire them to do so. But it's a very long battle we're fighting here. And we know what is really going on. So, I just gave you an explanation of what's going on, and more in English than in Dutch. But the Dutch understand. Ja, hopelijk begrijpt de Nederlander dit allemaal wel. We weten wat er gaande is. We weten dat ze meekijken. Politieke partijen, zoals de FVD, kijkt mee. We weten wat er in het buitenland gaande is. We weten de geschiedenis van Europa. We weten over het Romeinse Rijk. We weten over het Byzantijnse Rijk. We weten over het Assyrische Rijk. Mesopotamië hebben we het ook over gehad. Dus we weten genoeg van wat er allemaal gebeurt in de wereld. En wat er plaats heeft gevonden in de wereld. En het grootste ideaal wat ooit bereikt was in de oude tijdperk was toch wel Alexander de Groot. Ja. Hij had het Persisch Rijk overgenomen. Ja, en het was een groot rijk hoor. The Persian Empire was very big and Alexander defeated the Persians. Right? So there you can see that a person has influence in history. So, I hope you guys are informed, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this broadcast. We will be back. We will be back, and we're just looking on what's happening in the world. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.